I don't know if you could hear that. It's going. It's recording.
Thank you so much. So just to give people a little bit of a background on what this is, a couple weeks ago, someone totally random just reached out to me on email. It's like, hey, like I see that Harvard Public Health Review is publishing all this great stuff on health equity. As a community member, I'm really concerned about like racism in public health and health disparities, and I want to know how to get involved. And I was trying to think like, how do I respond to this? And I was like, I don't really know. Like, there's so many ways to do it, so many things, and like this was someone who lived in the Boston area, but Harvard Public Health has such a big scope globally that like, I was like, you know, all the fellows and the editors, like we all have such different expertise, and there's so many great people who are working with us. And I was like, why don't we start doing some of these master classes where we are part of the people doing the teaching and flip it back to the community to kind of, I feel like we've started on this trend of democratizing academia and scientific research. So like this could be like an extension, but I want to keep it, let's keep it small, do a couple of them just to test how this works and see what sort of format might fit well for people who are interested, and just see how this could fold into the other stuff that is going on with the publication. So I think first I'm kind of curious if people have any strong reactions or suggestions, thoughts that come out of this. Okay, I haven't done too much thinking about it yet, but I was kind of thinking that we could, there's a couple of different ways we could do it. Like, you know, we could have a panel of like people that we are affiliated with who are talking about certain topics. We could have it geographically localized. We could invite like guests who are from community like health centers or whatever else, like whatever slice it is. Okay, I'm getting a yes for the panel idea. I think other ways we could do it would be like if we did like I don't know how familiar this idea is, but like Instagram takeover type style, where you have someone like post throughout the day about like their day-to-day as a way to just introduce public health, I guess, to people who are not as familiar with it. I think we can be pretty broad about like the format of it. And, you know, I just, you know, for people who have something that they're passionate about getting out to the community, I really feel like I want this to be something where, what do you need to be able to do that? And we can all help you to get to that point. So if there's anyone who like this is really speaking to you, yeah, like a TikTok video of the day, that could also be co-publicized on other social media platforms. Yeah, the comment about integrating fundraisers or donating, I think that's really great because I think it should be really, I think what kind of differentiates this series versus some of like the blog posts is that I really hope it could be more action oriented, whether it's like mobilizing people to donate to a cause or to sign a petition or like get involved in this way or that way. I feel like what could make it different is making it more immediate and time specific, where like if you're writing something, an introduction to maternal child health and why you should care, that's timeless. But I hope that this kind of series might be in reaction to current events or something like that.
I think that's a really great idea. Yeah, I just wanted to elaborate on the fundraiser piece. So if, you know, Boston is a great area and not to be limited by the geography of it, but if, you know, collaborating with centers locally or community centers or organizations who specialize in that or address that topic, like maternity health or something to that effect, and then inviting people and having the proceeds be donated to that center hosting it might be a way to get more publicity as well, in terms of, you know, like even local papers like Boston Globe or things of that nature, just to highlight it as well.
Totally. And that's why I think rather than thinking of it as like a one format, or I think it can be like loosely affiliated under whatever title could be, and it could be something where, you know, it's a theme of like this month we're talking about maternal child health topics and talking from a couple of different geographies, or, you know, I think it can be really flexible. It just depends on, I think the most important part is having people who are really excited and eager to kind of spearhead one or more of the talks. So I do have some reactions from people who kind of chatted in ahead of time that might be helpful to kind of get some ideas going. Let me just share those so we all have access to the information. So it does seem like the panelist or like interviewing format is resonating with a lot of people. And it's great that there's a good amount of interest in helping to make sure that that's possible, sort of more of the behind the scenes things. And I think one of the challenges I'm seeing is that there's a huge range of interests of people who are really excited about like maternal child health or LGBTQ health, food security, more action related things, racism, housing, climate change. It runs the gamut. So, you know, we could do it by topic, we could do it by geography. I think we just need some sort of unifying thread to help us think through the structure of it. And there's kind of, geography might not be as relevant as some of the topics, is what I'm sensing. And it's another challenge because everyone's kind of scattered around the globe. So I'm kind of getting the sense that it could be somewhat general geographies, but topic area might be a better fit for how to slice the topics.
I agree. I do believe if we address topics during the discussions, it will keep it more focused, and it will also give us an opportunity to look at those topics in different regions, different geographic regions, and see what's working, what's not working in relation to the issues, and what interventions they've put in place. So, you know, I think that would also tie in both, because there is, I think all our topics really do affect people across the globe, but just bringing it out so that we can actually share and see what's happening in different regions.
That is a really great way to frame going by topics. Thanks, Cordella. In that case, I'm wondering if, you know, we could kind of help to, if you all could help to narrow the scope, I guess, to let's say we try 3 as a pilot number. Are there any particular topics that, you know, it seems like maybe maternal child health along with sexual and reproductive health, and then LGBTQ health might be some of the topics that people have a lot of energy around. But I'm kind of curious if there's any other topics that anyone else would be suggesting would be attracting a lot of interest from the community.
So not to get too corny here, but or PR based, but July is Social Wellness Month, I think nationally or internationally. So it might be something to pull from when thinking about gathering attention and just, you know, interest, or making, you know, sharing on social media and keeping things relevant for people to also share. Just a thought.
Great idea.
I want to just bring something up, and you had mentioned it, Penny, but I think it's really important to think about. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Given the sort of I think these things are becoming really important topics, and obviously long overdue and totally necessary. But I'm hesitant to jump into another like panel or, you know, whatever it may be, without really critically thinking about what we're hoping to get out of this, and whether or not we're just filling a space in this broader conversation that should be filled with people who are more connected to the work that's happening, if that makes sense. You mentioned sort of like an action-oriented, right? I'm really, really trying to be more aware of how we best advocate and represent the work that's going on to this. And I don't just want it to become another topic in these conversations. I want to, you know, really, really think about how we can be best advocating for these groups. and not just, you know, a panel, another conversation, really what our end goal is at the end of this.
Thank you, Tyler. That's actually super, super helpful. And I think it could help us to guide some of these selections. If we think about it more from the point of view of like, who would be some organizations that like Harvard Public Health Review would want to partner with, that could be a really great frame for then deciding, okay, well, you know, a lot of the community, we want to highlight this organization and they happen to work on this area in this region. And then just having a panel of, you know, it could be just one person from there, a straight up one-on-one interview. It could be like a panel with some of our members. And I think that's a really helpful way to help us structure it and also align with impact.
What's the proposed frequency for these conversations?
I think that is also very much open to discussion. I think it would be helpful if we were able to kind of come up with like, you know, if it's a monthly series or something like that, so we have enough lead time to kind of get everything teed up and we can advertise all of them at once. I think that would be very helpful. But at the same time, you know, I feel like with global current events, everything's kind of happening in unexpected timelines. So there might be certain topics that we want to kind of respond to that are moving very quickly. But how is monthly kind of sitting with people?
I was just going to quickly jump in, Penny, and say, I guess I'm not understanding, like, because many of the current fellows will not be with us, like how that would work to do it on a monthly basis, you know, once they finish the fellowship at the end of August.
I think I would imagine it as like, let's pilot it for July and August and kind of see how the learnings from that go. And then we can continue with the second cohort, perhaps, starting from September. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, I mean, I'm also thinking if you guys have such momentum as well, like it might be a matter of like those fellows who are very committed to it, like staying on. But yeah, just trying to think those details through.
Totally. And I've, you know, haven't put too much thought into it because I wanted to be kind of organized by all of us together. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And, you know, if it does come to light that there's a lot of energy in this cohort and like a bi-weekly thing is going to work, I think we should run with it. But I just don't want to set us up for something that's too ambitious, especially for our pilot. Evelyn, I see you have your hand raised in the sidebar.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. So I'm noticing that a lot of the topics are pretty controversial. So when I was in college, granted that was a few years ago, we were required to be like very apolitical with everything because, you know, the school got money from the state because it was a nonprofit school. Are we required to do that too, just so we know going forward?
What do you mean exactly?
Yeah, it's a good question. So really, if ever there were events, like it would have to just like, we'd have to make sure that like, you know, we weren't supporting a candidate and just in general, like something about like the nonprofit nature of the school. There were certain like rules, but that also might have changed since then because that was back in 2016.
We have editorial independence with the journal, and I do know what you're talking about. Like, as a 501c3, you cannot lobby, but you can educate. But I don't think the journal has ever or would desire to, you know, endorse a candidate. But we do have the editorial independence, and you know, we don't have to run things by the school.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah, so thanks. But it's a good question. Yeah.
So for me, this conversation definitely went in a different direction than I expected, but I feel like I have a pretty good idea at this point of like, you know, if we were to start to brainstorm some organizations that we would want to partner with as HPHR, or like to highlight, feature, whatever the right verbiage is here. And then it should be perhaps tied around interests that, you know, many of our members are excited about. Then we can start to reach out to these organizations and see who would be willing to come to a panel to talk about something that's currently happening in that area. And then we can kind of, see in terms of scheduling what would work best, and, then have it live with the communities, and also rely on these partners to help us publish about these chats. Does that kind of seem like it's going in the right direction?
Well, I think that sounds great, Penny, but I mean, I definitely don't want to like shape this at all. I want this to be completely organic with the
Mhm.
fellows, editors.
Okay, then. Thank you all for your feedback and like creating this together and brainstorming, and super useful feedback from everyone who spoke up. And if you have any thoughts afterwards, please feel free to reach out to me. I will put my email in the chat. Otherwise, I think what would be helpful is I'll circulate a list, some sort of spreadsheet where we can tag organizations and tag sort of like what topic areas and geographies they're relevant to, so we can kind of get ourselves a little organized. And then whoever is willing to lend a hand, just if there's organizations, if there's people, like whatever it is that you're excited about, please put it in the spreadsheet and we will figure out who's going to do reaching out to who. And we can just see what happens and adjust as things happen. Thank you all.
Thank you, Penny.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Penny. That's awesome.
Excellent.
I think it makes sense if we're done with that, we can just transition to the meeting for the managing editing team. So if you guys are not part of that, feel free to hop off the call. Or if you're just, super interested, I guess you could also stay and listen as well. Not sure who to hand the floor to. Anybody on the managing editing team?
Should I email Mary Ellen to hop back on?
You can. I was also going to message her via WhatsApp too.
Oh, whichever.
So I think you can stop the recording now.
Okay.
Thank you.